All right, what's up everyone? Fritz here again with another episode of Sneakerhead Ambition, and today we are going to be covering a topic that I've gotten a lot of questions about and quite frankly is a very big deal if you are trying to improve in botting and hit more pairs, and that's going to be which credit cards to use and how to get more unique profiles to run on your bots. In today's video, I'm going to be covering more virtual credit cards or VCCs as opposed to points and miles cards. I will have a video on that in the future because that definitely is a topic that definitely should be touched on. I haven't paid for a flight in 6 or 7 years because of the points that I get from this business and just sign-up bonuses that you can easily hit if you're running a resale business. But like I mentioned, we're going to cover more virtual credit cards today because those are more applicable to you improving your botting because of the ability to have more unique profiles and utilize more addresses. This really led to me having more success. I started using VCCs about a year ago, and obviously after that I had way more profiles and I started to see myself able to hit multiple pairs more and more often. Started hitting 10, 20, and this really helped me get to that spot because it just makes it a lot easier to get that information in and make it look unique as opposed to those hard cards you have where it's really difficult to manipulate the address much before the order gets canceled. So we'll get into that now. So starting off, just an overview of virtual credit cards. Like I mentioned, VCC stands for virtual credit card. So that's what we're talking about today. These are services that are offered by either banks or companies that are designed to hide your information from companies. So I know that we're probably all aware of the fact that Google, Facebook, all these companies are constantly tracking your data. If you are using Google Chrome, they know every purchase you've made, every site you've been to, how long you've been on there, every credit card you used, every email you've ever sent. So this does allow you to have some privacy. So you can link these cards essentially to services or cut them off after one use. They really do serve a purpose other than sneaker botting, but we're not really worried about that. Depending on the provider, you could make the card single use, you can make the card only for one site, you can put a monthly limit. So again, if you are worried about maybe these falling into the wrong hands, it's very easy to see them and track them because all of these credit cards, let's say you've got 100 Foot Locker cards, 100 Yeezy Supply cards, 100 Chance cards, all of these cards can be linked to one card. And again, all of those virtual credit cards will usually only work on one site. So if you make a Foot Locker card, even if somebody were to get this, I know some people have this concern, you can't use it anywhere other than Foot Locker and you can cut that card off instantly the second you want to. So it really does offer you a lot of wiggle room on how to use them. Like I said, it could be a daily limit, a monthly limit, any of those works, whatever your preference might be. Depending on the provider you have, there are going to be limits. It could be a monthly limit, it could be a daily limit, and some of them don't have much of a limit or a limit that, to be quite honest, won't be tested by a reasonable person, right? Like you're not going to be making thousands of cards a day. You might be making, like I said, 20 a day, however many you can get away with, but that is going to be something to consider when getting a provider because you will want that to match what you're trying to get, right? If you only need 10, it doesn't really matter which one you get, but if you're really trying to crank out hundreds, and like I said, there are people in this space that have thousands of these, it'd be a good idea to get several different providers. As far as what virtual credit cards I can personally speak to, I have used privacy.com, I have used Revolut, I have used Citibank, and I have used Capital One. All of those have worked very well for me. One that I'm really looking to get soon is the Amex virtual credit card services. I know that with those you need to apply for a new card to get that service. You can't retroactively apply it to an old card. So I am waiting to apply for a new Amex at some point, and when I do that, I do intend on getting that service with them as I've heard it works well too. I don't use privacy.com or Revolut as much as I do use Capital One, Eno, and Citibank. These just seem to stick a lot better for me when I'm running on foot sites and Yeezy Supply. I'm really able to get a good amount of double-digit orders just because I have a lot of these cards. And again, with those cards, right, on Yeezy Supply, my PV rate is about 10%, and right now on foot sites, I would say it's about 30%, which is pretty good compared to other people who are just getting 80-90% declines. So if you're looking for one of those to pick or trying to pick the best one of the four that I've personally used, again, privacy.com, Revolut, Citi, and Capital One. Number one, I would recommend Capital One. That's just worked the best for me. And number two, I would rate Citi. also has worked very well. But I do realize that some people don't have a credit card account with those companies. But I would strongly suggest looking into that if you have the credit to apply for that. If not, I would really work on building that up or doing the best you can to build that up to get a shot at getting one of these products. If you are working on your credit and can't get a card with one of them, I'm pretty sure that with Revolut and Privacy, you can basically generate an account within a day or so and link it to a debit card. That's obviously different than Capital One and Citi, where those would be credit cards. But again, I'm trying to provide information for everybody in every situation. So if you don't have credit cards, I would stick to either Revolut or Privacy, as you can still generate some cards. Those services are not quite as good as Capital One, Inu, and Citi from my experience, but they are far better than just having one or two cards. So that's what I would look into if right now you're building up your credit and can't get a card with Citi or Capital One. As of right now too, I just wanna say before you go and get privacy.com and say you didn't mention this, as of right now, I'm pretty sure that privacy.com is not working on foot sites. Again, I'm having the most success for myself with Capital One and Citi on foot sites. I have heard that privacy is currently not working. That could change in the future, but just be aware of that moving forward. Now, with this being said, I'm not saying that there aren't other virtual credit card companies out there that are providing this service. There certainly are, and I've started to see advertisements for some new ones because, again, this is a very legit product and service that people want to protect their identity and information. So just if you see others, it's not to say that those don't work, but per usual, I really try to only talk on what I know and not sit here and talk about things that I've never used and don't have any experience with. Don't have any credit cards and are looking to get a credit card, I am going to do a video in the upcoming weeks on just general credit cards, which cards to get if our credit isn't the best, which card to get if it's okay, which card to get it if it's really high. So I will go over that. I'm really big into points and miles. I've been doing that for probably about 8 to 10 years now. So I can help out with that. I will make a video in the coming weeks on that. So if you're waiting to apply for one of those cards, maybe wait to see that video, or just go to Capital One or Citi and try to get one of the better cards that you can get based on your current situation. So just getting into why again, the biggest reason is you can pretty much turn any address that you have access to or have been given permission to use by a friend into a shipping hub for you. You can put any name on the cards that you make. You can put an address with some things in there that I'll get into in a second, usually random letters, that makes the address look okay. And the company that you're using, whether that be Citi, Capital One, Privacy, is going to verify whatever you put in there, right? Whatever name you want. I put some ridiculous names in there and they still ship, right? You would think there's no way that they would ship to a name that's just so outrageous. They do. So obviously you can't just make up an address. It needs to be a real place, but you can put a lot of information in that address that's going to mask how it is the same thing over and over again to the site that you are trying to buy. This all means, right, like I said, that you can put in 4 random letters either before or after a street number. So if my street was 123 Street, right, I could put 4 random letters before the 123 or 4 random letters after that 123. That would make the company not be able to tell, or their bot protection not be able to tell. All right, and then you could also add something to line 2. So you could also add apartment 1 or apartment 7 or floor 2 or building 1. All of those things will check out because it's a privacy card. So you just put those in there and that's going to mask this to the company or the site that you're trying to bot, and the company that you're using for privacy, either privacy.com, Citi, Capital One, they're going to verify this as legit. So very unlike your regular cards, you can put a lot of information into these addresses that these privacy companies are just going to check off as legit and will ship. And again, this allows me to use my neighbor's addresses, my friend's address, the place I work's address, my parents' address, my parents' friend's address, anybody you can find that is trustworthy. This is not a big ask, right? If you were asking, let's say, a friend to use their credit card so it can ship to their address and then you'll pay them back, that, like, to be honest, if a friend asked me that before doing all this, I wouldn't want to do that, right? But if a friend asked me, hey, can a package show up at your house? That's not a big ask, right? So just keep in mind that this really does open up a lot of doors that are prior to this difficult to open, just because of the fact that you can use any address and it's still all your payment method. So you're not really asking this massive thing of your friends. It's really just, can a package show up here and I come pick it up? And remember, some of the people that you are running against, some of the botters in this space that have really large setups, they have thousands of cards per site. So again, the odds of any of those cards hitting multiple times is extremely low. If you are running 2 cards over 1,000 profiles, if you hit anything, you are going to start hitting on the same card. So you've got to remember that there are a lot of people out there who have 20 or 30 addresses to ship stuff to, and then have spread those out over hundreds, maybe thousands of cards. So it really is something, if you're going to scale your business and scale into botting and ever really have much of a shot of hitting 20, 50, 100 pairs. I'm still working on that 100. I've hit my 50 once. But if you're going to make that progress, this is something that you need to work on. Again, this is a business process or a business aspect that a lot of people ignore, and they just think, oh, I'll just get more money. That's not going to help you spread out more orders, right? You need to have places to ship, because these companies, or at least their bot protection, is getting a lot better at detecting these multiple addresses. So again, the more cards you have, the less chance that that's going to be triggered when you're running on these sites. Another thing that I would like to mention too is this really helps you a lot with the Yeezy Supply zip code banning that has been going on over the past year or two. Because again, it's going to be, if I'm running 15 addresses, right, and I hit, let's say 20 pairs, the odds of more than a couple of them going to one address are pretty low, right? You can definitely get, with the method I talked about with the 4 random letters, you can definitely get 3, 4, 5, 6 to the same address. But again, if you're going to hit 20 or so pairs and you've only got 2 cards, that's not going to fly. So just keep that in mind, right? That this really does help solve a lot of problems. And again, if you've got cards that are all in different zip codes, you're not going to overwhelm any of those zip codes with orders, therefore not triggering Yeezy Supply into canceling or blocking your zip code, which can be very frustrating and difficult to get around if it happens. Currently, I'm filming this on September 1st or 2nd, early September. But just wanted to throw out there that as of right now, the best method that I have been using for Yeezy Supply is going to be the 4 random letters, either before or after the street number. So for Yeezy Supply, go with that. As far as foot sites go, if you have unique credit card numbers, don't touch the address. As of right now, that is the best method and has worked best for me. Don't manipulate the address, just leave it. And just have different credit cards, right? So again, you want to have different numbers so that you can hit multiples, because with foot sites, if you have the same card hit twice, it's going to cancel. But if you have 2 different cards hit twice with the same address, there's a good probability that it could stick, or at least it's the best probability you're going to get. So again, as of right now, early September 2021, Yeezy Supply is going to be 4 random letters before or after, or you could mess with address line 2. And foot sites is going to be use unique cards, just leave the address alone. So just starting to close out here, just overall, virtual credit cards are an outstanding resource for botting. It really does help you hit multiples more easily and gives you a chance to start cranking up into those double digits and get closer to those massive clips you are seeing other people hit online. It also helps you stay organized, because I know it can seem like, oh my God, like, how could I have 100 cards and keep track of them? They're all linked to one card. So while you might have 100 cards, they're all linked to your one credit card. So it really is easy to keep track of and to track your expenses, as opposed to if somebody could even get 100 credit cards. That would be much more difficult because they would all be on their own. But this really does make it easy and makes it a lot easier for you to hit more pairs. Now, again, I know everybody has their own situations and their own life situations, but if this means trying to get your credit up, do it. If this means applying for a card you didn't think you needed, but your credit is already good enough, do it. These services will help you improve your botting and help you get those multiple double-digit pairs that you're after. As I've mentioned recently, I have started working with a new cook group called Starter Square. The link will be in the description below if you would like to join. As I've mentioned, I've had a lot of a lot of subscribers ask me, if they could join a cook group that I am in. And 2 of the big ones that I'm in, Only Friends and Family and AK Chefs, right now are closed for new members. But if you would like to join one that you can get into and still has very good group buys and good information, and you can chat it up with me, pick my brain, whatever you want there, that would be Starter Square, and I'm going to have that link in the description below. Anyways, that's all I've got for y'all today. As always, I love hearing from you in the comments. Please leave any questions, comments, concerns. I know that this topic can be new to some people and can be a little confusing. I also know that I can talk fast sometimes. So whatever you need, please post it down there. I really try to get back to every single comment. But other than that, I should have a live cop up next week sometime after the Yeezy slide drop. Those will be dropping on Foot Sites and Yeezy Supply. So get your setups ready. But like I said, other than that, just check back next week. Until then, see you next time.